Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SCC. Coming at you live from the swamp. Last game of the 2025 season. Last game of the Billy Napier era. Of course, he's not on the sideline, but staff he assembled is, they got to win. They finished the season on a high note. This emotional season that we find ourselves at the conclusion of. The Gators go out victors, 40-21 over the hated Florida State Seminoles. Feels good. Feels good to end the season the way we just ended it, by really just running over the Seminoles. Jadan Baugh, credit to him. I hope we see him in orange and blue again next year. Who knows what this is? Well, let's live in the moment a little bit. Let's talk about the game. Last game we get to talk about this 2025 season, and it's a big win over a rival. Swamp was filled with emotion with senior day, filled with emotion because of a coaching search and all the storylines that surround it. But 43 and a half hours that we get to watch a football game. At least it was this time. This time, watching our team come out with the victory. 40-21 over Florida State, ending the season 4-8 for the Gators, keeping FSU away from a bowl game, which who knows if they even won or not, but it didn't matter. Florida showed up tonight. Big question since the firing of Billy Napier was how the team was going to respond, and it had been a roller coaster. Play good versus Georgia, but lose. Get pounded by Kentucky. Play good versus Ole Miss, but lose. Get pounded by Tennessee. Well, it had been a roller coaster. Even in losses, Florida had played decent, good in some ways against Georgia and Ole Miss, given the opponent, of course, and how good those teams are. And then the two worst teams, Kentucky and Tennessee, not playing so well. But it had been every other week. And it played out one more time. One more time. Back up on the roller coaster, ending the season. Billy Gonzalez goes out with getting his first win as the interim coach here against the Seminoles, 40-21, and wasn't even really that close. I mean, Florida put it on Florida State. I mean, stat-wise, it really won't, kind of look like it in some ways if you want to, but you watch the game, and Florida put it on them. And controlling the run game, of course, that opening up a more consistent DJ Lagway, RPO-heavy pass game at times for DJ Lagway. But certainly Jadan Baugh, the story. Jadan Baugh is the story. Let's get to it right quick. Before I get into some comments, we'll recap the game a bit too. But obviously, Jadan Baugh, career high, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns for him, the second most rushing yards in school history. This is why we got to talk about the game. History was made tonight. The second most rushing yards in school history. The most for a sophomore, by the way. 40-21. Ball carried 38 times. Finished with the program's most yards on the ground since Emmitt Smith tallied 316 against New Mexico in 1989. That's how you do it. And if you listen to the preview, it was kind of weird. I put it out yesterday, with all the coaching stuff going on in the Lane Kiffin saga. Repackaged it. Maybe you can listen to it this morning if you were driving to Gainesville. But if you did listen to the preview, certainly mention I just want to see running Jadan Baugh into the ground. And here we go, 38 times. We wanted to see that a lot this year, especially when the inconsistency at quarterback. We wanted to see this. Now, you can't carry the ball, 38 times every game. We all know that. But last game of the season, this was kind of just what I wanted to see. You can run Jadan Baugh into the ground in the last game of the season. Credit to him, getting the crowd fired up toward the end of the game as well when Florida's driving down for that last touchdown for him. I mean, just a performance. The type of performance we know we could get for him, the type of performance we knew he had in him. Credit to the offensive line, too. I mean, we still saw some of the magic of Jadan Baugh when the blocking wasn't there to make some things happen. But the blocking was there more tonight than it had been all season. I mean, there was some also close, even bigger runs for Jadan Baugh, but he was getting to the second level more consistency before anybody hit him. He was being able to get past, the defenders a bit before he had to make a miss. He wasn't getting hit in the backfield as much, having to make some yards. I mean, he was. I'd like to go. Hopefully some advanced stats in this game tomorrow, and yards before contact, yards after contact, all that for Jadan Baugh, because I do want to give credit to the offensive line for having a much better performance tonight as well from what we had seen all season. Good for Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber, and that group playing their last game here in the Swamp to go out on a high note for those guys. Certainly Damian George as well. Credit Tyreek Sapp after the game too. Him taking it in, sitting there on the 50-yard line. I just saw him. I was following him with a pair of binoculars and just happened to see it all. Him walking toward the 50-yard line and just plopping down, sitting down, and just taking a look at it all. In his last game here in the Swamp. Caleb Banks, too, man. Good plays from him tonight. Didn't have to come back and play. And it didn't look so good last week against Tennessee, but wanted to play. Wanted to play one more time with his guys. He has a good game tonight. He has a big fumble recovery earlier in the game. So, sending out the guys that we were counting on so much this year, and I know it did not go the way we wanted it to, but at least the last time we got to see that group of guys, Jake Slaughter, Austin Barber, Tyreek Sapp, Caleb Banks, that was kind of the main cog of the guys coming into this year. Devin Moore, of course, as well. But those guys, credit to them, for at least putting it together one more time so we can cheer them on one more time for a victory here. And man, it was fun to watch. Finally, fun to watch a football game and on the winning side. Not hoping. Finally showing up in the second half of a game for one thing. That's how you put 40 points on the board. Florida finally showed up for 4 quarters. That's what this was. I'll have to go back and look at the drive chart and just see how Florida put together the scoring drives. I'll get to that in a minute. We'll keep that. Jason Yulee, good point. Norvell's second loss to a Florida interim. I forgot all about that. Greg Knox the first time after Dan Mullen gets fired, and here we are with Billy Gonzalez after Billy Napier gets fired. Norvell's second loss to a Florida interim coach. Good point. I had forgotten all about that. So, hey, that's why we have the chat, right? Guys, if you can't tell, much better mood today than yesterday and all that. Seeing the team win, taking a little bit of course, the conversations for coach we're all over the place, but good to get to a tailgate. Good to step back a little bit after the crazy yesterday and then going to see the team win. Talk about one more game. And look, I know some of the coaching stuff, I won't ignore it. It's going to mostly be recap and reaction from the game here. But we'll get into some comments. We'll get into where I think that's heading right now. It looks like John Summerall on deck to be the next Florida head coach. Kind of the vibe around the press box as well. We'll see where it goes. As we know, nothing's officially done, all that. I know there's a bunch of blowback out there on this. Do I see this getting to a Schiano level or a Mark Stoops Texas A&M level where this thing doesn't happen? No, I don't think it gets there. So it's the way it looks right now. We'll see. We will see where this goes. All right, couple comments right quick, and then we'll break down the game. Scott Poirier with some Gator emojis. Let's go. Scott saying, woo, and you're right, Scott. That coffee will taste great tomorrow. It will. Guys, I know it was a sucky season. Absolutely, I know it. But do not take the wins over FSU for granted. We know how bad. It's a lost season. Absolutely, in a lot of ways. But when there's still something to play for in a rivalry game. Now, of course, when you lose, if you lost something like this, it doesn't hit you anywhere near as hard when your team's doing good. Fully understand that. I buy into that mantra as well. But both teams were terrible coming into this game. I picked Florida to win 24-20. Not far off from Florida State. Should have just added about 20 more for Florida. 40-21. Much better showing than I thought. But don't take the wins over your rivals for granted. We didn't get enough of them in the last 4 years anyway. Lo and behold, 0-2 start against Florida State for Billy Napier and his staff, only to end 2-0, so 2-2 overall against Florida State here with this staff. But the coffee will taste good for that. Now, if you want to talk coach, maybe the coffee doesn't taste good for a while. Maybe it gets cold a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Because I know how you guys feel about it. Most of you feel, and we will get into it. We'll have more time to do it tomorrow. I'm sure there will be an episode tomorrow. I would expect some type of announcement tomorrow. Just on the timeline of things and when Florida wants to get this done, that's what I would expect. I don't know. That's just my expectation. SBW says this can't be happening. I know we just won, but we can't hire Summerall. Guys, I know that's a lot of what's out there. Troy Davis says go Gators. Clark Futch, hey Clark man, what's up? He says just in here to enjoy the win tonight, not thinking about nothing ahead. I can live in a bubble for a little while. Like I said, I've been in the bubble. I wanted to watch the game. Thankfully, Florida gave us something to watch. But yeah. Oh, there we go. Screen went black. There we go. I might have to. I don't know what's going to come up. I don't want like ESPN or something to come up, and then it gets some kind of copyright or something like that. So there we go. I can scoot around a little bit. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Choking Platypus says this team plays with my emotions too much. From the high of beating FSU to the low of realizing I got to watch Summerall ball for 3 to 4 seasons. Jadan Gators, despite all the negativity the last few days, this could have been worse with a loss today. Glad we were able to finish the season on a high note. Me too. Last game of the season. This is the last one we get to cover anyway, with this staff. So I'm taking it for what it was worth. Living in a bubble for a little bit. Last game. Adam Webb, pay ball. Yes. Whoever's coming in, I don't know how you value running backs. If it's John Summerall and he gets some kind of, coordinator that we all want, or whoever it is, we know we want to use speed. But Florida's been known to have some good running backs in even the open offenses that we so highly covet that uses the speed. But even with Steve Spurrier's best teams, you had your Terry Jacksons and your Fred Taylors, your Ernest Grahams. Still has some really good running backs that can continue. Yes, I want to open up the offense more. I also want to be able to run the ball when you need to be able to run the ball. And Jadan Baugh is going to be one of the best guys out there to do that. Going over 1,000 yards tonight. First time since Kelvin Taylor, 10 years ago. Got to keep Jadan Baugh. I don't know. I mean, we're going to see who the hire is. And these players have a decision to make. The new staff has some decisions to make too. But if there's one guy you want to be keying in on, that is certainly number 13. Tim, hopping in, new member. Thank you much. Gator Doll says, why didn't Ball do this all year? I kind of hit on that earlier. To me, it was more the offensive line. He had more offensive line help tonight. Also, he didn't get the ball enough. I mean, this was 38 carries. Certainly a career high, a season high. We thought he should have been getting the ball more to be able to do things like this. I think it had more to do with actually getting the chance to do it by number of carries and by having an offensive line that played their best game of the season up there with the Texas game. So I always thought Ball had this capability. I did. A lot of us did. But this was not getting a lot of help this year. Got it tonight versus Florida State. South Florida Don brings up a really good point. I noticed that too. He didn't even look tired at the end. No, he looked like he could have went for 20 more. He could have had 50 carries, 55 carries. Jadan Baugh was a man on a machine, a man on a mission. Let me speak right. A man on a mission tonight. And that was what I wanted to see. 2 reasons. I wanted to see Jadan Baugh get his chance to showcase this. but also it made the offense flow just so much better. And then with the passing game and the RPO, when you're running the ball like this, man, that made that RPO so beautiful tonight. And the RPO slant, for touchdowns and first downs and big plays. I mean, it really got the offense in sync when you're able to run the ball like this. Now we know Billy Napier's offense, that's it. All offenses are like this, but even more so Billy Napier's offense. It was hard for them to pass their way to a win, but we knew they could run their way to a win. And when they can run their way to a win, it's going to open up the whole offense. That was just what this offense was built on. That's how it was built. That's what it was supposed to be. That was its reputation. And when you get, 266 yards from a running back, 7 yards a carry, too. So it wasn't like it was a high number of carry. 38 attempts, don't get me wrong, is high. But 38 attempts at 7 yards a carry. And as long as it was only 22 yards, it wasn't like he had a 40-yard run or a 50-yard run to get that 266. His longest run was 22 yards. I want to go through that right quick. We're going to hit some stats right quick, but let's start with Jadan Baugh right here. And his run log, but, it started off right away. Maybe this was our first indication. His longest was 22, but he started with a 21-yard run. And then 3, and then 4, 3, 3, 6, 2, 4, 1, 8. Now what you're noticing, no like -1 or -2, -3. 3-yard run, 5-yard run, 18, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 20, 14, 4, 4, 1, 2, 10, 22-yard touchdown. 8, 8, 12, 5, 7, 15, 2, 5, 6, 4, 12-yard touchdown run. I didn't even put it together while watching the game. Going through the run log here, I don't even know if he got tackled for a no gain. Every carry he had went for a gain. Yeah. Didn't even realize it while watching it. That's why I like doing that sometimes. The stats live, sometimes you just have a realization of what happened here. Was not tackled for a loss all night. So that's what I'm saying. Giving credit to the offensive line. And then credit to Jadan Baugh one more time. Because like I said, some of that was him still doing his thing when the blocking wasn't quite there. And that's not going to be there every play. We know that. We just want a more consistent performance from the offensive line. We got that tonight. All right. I'm going to answer this question before I forget. And we'll have to just see where the chat goes. Junior brings in, Dave, assuming this is a foregone conclusion, who's the best realistic OC we can get for Summerall? I don't really know. There's a couple of names that have been thrown out there, like Cade Bell, the offensive coordinator at Pitt. Charlie Weiss Jr., who's at Ole Miss. We discussed this on the chat last night on Gators Breakdown Plus. Would he want to get out of the Lane Kiffin shadow? Come be an OC either at Florida or somewhere else with a defensive-minded head coach to get out of the shadow of Lane Kiffin's offense, where Lane Kiffin, will still take over at points play calling or give, his input on play calling. Get away. And I'm not saying that's a bad situation for Charlie Weiss Jr. It's putting him where he's at right now, but maybe get out of the shadow and prove himself more away from an offensive head coach. Prove yourself where the offense is completely yours if you go somewhere else. So that's the two names. I don't know. When I look at it, if Summerall's the guy, what's the cachet? What's the reputation? Are you getting big name guys to come and be the offensive coordinator for another head coach that you're, bringing in from the group of 4, group of 5? It might be a hard sell. Really might be a hard sell. Does money play a factor? Fine. Do you have to overpay for coordinators? I'm okay with that as long as you get the guys you want. It ain't my money. I want to go win some ball games. So ultimately, does the Summerall hire potentially, does it excite me? No, it really doesn't. I'm ultimately going to judge it what coordinators he hires and then make an ultimate, decision. we've talked about this plenty of times. Like, look, most head coaches just don't work out. But we've had a string that just doesn't work out. We need some stability. We need something to happen. I get the whole narrative of, going one more time, having to go to a guy that needs to prove a lot to get, not a lot proven at the highest of levels. And there weren't many of those guys out there, but there have been some choices out there. And I know I saw the report. I don't really know that website that's out there claiming Florida could have Lincoln Riley. I know we've talked about Lincoln Riley. Was there some vetting and some interviews going on? How'd the interview go? I don't really care. Like some of the feedback maybe from an interview. Well, he didn't interview well at Florida. Well, who's interviewing him? Because we already know the questions that we've had surrounding this coaching search in the last day or so about the decision makers. So if there's this, well, he didn't interview well, I don't know if I truly believe that, or the right people are making the judgment on that. If you can tell me I can have Lincoln Riley, that's where I would go. But the report, I forgot who the report came out there from. It's some website I had never even seen until today. They might be right. I don't know. But I'll bring it up because I know it's out there. One more time, I don't dig my head in the sand with stuff like that. If it's out there, I will discuss. Let's see. Let me close that panel. All right, a couple more star comments. I'm going to get through some of these stats. We'll talk through it right quick. RK Wood, thanks, man. Remember here, too, as well. Cody Moore says, this program has me watching Tulane in the background of Gators Breakdown. Disgusting. Oh, I know how you guys feel. I know. I'm going to be supportive of the new coach. That's just how it's going to be. I mean, I'll still give my unfiltered thoughts. I'll while having a certain feeling if it can work out ultimately or not, still going to support until you give me a reason not to. I think that's where I will go with that. You got to give me a reason not to. Year ones are going to be weird. They always are. You guys, if you've listened to me for a long time, I stand by that. This type of hire, I don't know what it does for roster retention. I don't know what it does for going to attract the transfer portal. We're about to see if you can throw a lot of money out there, what that means in regards to fighting against the narrative. This is John Summerall's not a big name head coach. If he ends up being the guy, I mean, there's whoever Florida brings in right now, that's not going to be the biggest of names, unless somebody comes out of left field. I know there's some reports out there about Brent Key still. There's maybe supposed to be a contract signed for Georgia Tech and an extension that still hasn't signed. I was told last week he's pulling out of the Florida and the Auburn race, both schools. I think that had a lot to do with the Lane Kiffin thing. So if Lane Kiffin's not coming to Florida, does that now open maybe up Brent Key? Where I'm at right now, I think it's John Summerall. But, Brent Key's a known name at Georgia Tech. I think a bit more known than John Summerall. Jed Fish, coaching at Arizona, Washington, is certainly in Gator circles a little more known. Lincoln Riley, already talked about him. That's the biggest of names. That's kind of in the floating around the coaching search right now. And then John Summerall. So I think John Summerall's got his work cut out for him of roster retention and the transfer portal coming up. I know signing days is coming up week, and that's kind of a wash anyway. It really doesn't matter who was coming in. Too short of a window. So I wouldn't expect much this week in that regard. But I get the feeling out there. I get it. But like I said, going to have my support. Year one, I don't know what that's going to look like given what I just laid out of roster retention and transfer portal. And then if that's the case and we get a rough year one, of course it's going to be thrown in our face. Well, you got to give time. We did that last time. We're sick of that route. That was one reason the whole Lane Kiffin sweepstakes were so important, because that was the one hire you could hit the ground running with. Now I think going this route, and not just Summerall, but some of the other hires, it's not going to be hitting the ground as well as you would have with somebody like Lane Kiffin. So here we are, and we're going to be expected to give a window of time. That's why a lot of us wanted to go with a splash hire. At least, you got to make the right hire. The splash hire doesn't mean the right hire. Obviously, we know that. But you can hit both. The splash hire can be the right hire, and I think the splash hire could get you off the ground running pretty fast. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. All right, let's get to it. Florida State, 40-21, Gators winners. We'll come back around to coaching stuff in a little while. Florida, 440. Total yards, 407 for Florida State. Passing yards, 240 for Seminoles, 168 for the Gators. It was the Gators' ground game, of course, 272 on the ground to 167 for Florida State. Florida with 5 penalties, Florida State with 4. Third down conversions. Hey, Florida, look at there. 7 of 14. 7 of 14. 50%. That's what you like to see. At least around. I mean, you like to see a little bit better. But what we've seen this year, we'll take it. That will take it for sure. Fourth downs. Well, Florida State was 5 of 12 on third down. So good job by the defense. Third down defense have been pretty bad this year for the Gator defense. And if you listen to the preview, Florida State, if I can remember off the top of my head, either led the ACC or even led the country in third and fourth down conversions combined. I think it might have just been the ACC, but it's still high up there. Either way. They were 5 of 12 on third down, 2 of 4 on fourth down. Florida with some masterful short yardage defense today in limiting Florida State there. And let's see, average yards per play, 6 point. That was pretty much even. 6.4 for Florida, 6.3 for Florida State. I mean, the good thing there was Florida State is an explosive offense. Not a consistent offense, but an explosive offense. And that's what kind of did them in today. They were not able to hit the explosives that they are used to hitting. And that's why they only scored 21 points. Let's see, average yards per play, 6.4 to 6.3, as I said, in the favor of the Gators. Average yards per completion, 14.1 for Florida State, 11.2 for the Gators. Average yards per rush, 6 for Florida, 4.5 for Florida State. Florida, 5 of 5 in the red zone. And red zone for Seminoles, 3 of 5. Florida winning the time of possession battle by about 8 minutes. And then go to here at the bottom. Sacks. Florida with 4. Florida State with 2. Their 2 were on back-to-back plays. And then tackle for loss, the Gators with 7. FSU only with 3. DJ Lagway, 15 of 24, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The 1 interception, of course, defender almost all over Aiden Mizell's back. Ball gets batted, picked off there for Florida State, of course, but 15 of 24, 168, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not a lot of DJ Lagway runs tonight, by the way. Noticed that. And then notice after the game, too, in the press conference, he had a big old thing of ice on the shoulder. So don't know what's there. Of course, all the offseason drama there was with DJ Lagway and the injuries. So, of course, that's just why it was pretty noticeable. Because it's the first time we've seen him all year after a game, at least in the press setting area, with DJ Lagway having ice on his shoulder. Jadan Baugh, one more time, hero of the game. 38 carries, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 22, average 7 yards a carry. Katie Daniels, 4 attempts for 7 yards. Not much there. Receiving, Vernell Brown III, 4 catches, 25 yards. J. Michael Sturdivant, last game as a Gator, here in his only season as a Gator. 3 catches, 58 yards, had the 1 touchdown, of course, at along of 34. Aiden Mizell, 3 for 46. Hayden Hanson, 2 for 18. Tony Livingston, 1 for 9. Guys, I joked about this, put it out there on social media. It's funny. In Billy Napier's staff last game, both tight ends have a touchdown. Hayden Hanson with a touchdown. Tony Livingston with a touchdown. You can't ride it sometimes. But both touchdowns, both tight ends having a touchdown in the game. Rob S. said that they said DJ was out all week, started practicing on Thursday. Okay, yeah, I didn't follow up much on the team aspect of that, and plus, we didn't get an injury report because this wasn't a conference game. Also, like I said, didn't really follow around too much the team storylines of this week. Busy enough with the coaching search, Thanksgiving, family in town, had a Gator speaking engagement on Tuesday. So maybe there is something to it with the ice on the shoulder there for DJ. So. There we go. Okay. And then on the other side, Castellanos there for Florida State, 17 of 28, 240, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had 19 rushes for 77 yards. And, some of those are sacks as well. But 19 for 77, 1 touchdown, long run of 17. It wasn't killing Florida's defense, but, man, some of those runs are just aggravating. But I'm going to credit Florida's defense one more time for just not giving up the big play to Florida State. They were pretty high up in the categories of the most 30-yard plays, 40-yard plays, 50 yards plays, 40-yard passes, 30-yard passes. They were not explosive at all. I mean, Tennessee wasn't either last year and was still able to run the ball enough to really hurt Florida. Not tonight. I mean, Florida State with 167 yards rushing, so Florida went 3 games in a row, giving up 200 yards on the ground. Not this week versus Florida State, only 167 on 37 attempts. As far as Florida in defensive statistics there, Miles Graham, man, what a game by Miles Graham. In the backfield a lot, coming around the corner, looking like a missile. At times, 8 total tackles, 3 of them being solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hurry for him. Bryce Thornton, forced fumble in this game. He had 8 total tackles, but of course had the forced fumble that picked up by Caleb Banks. Aaron Childs was 6. Allen, here we go again. I mean, there with 5 tackles. One reason for the lack of big plays, I thought from what I could see up in the press box area, and as much as I tried to look at it because I just knew how explosive Florida State's offense was. Not consistent, but how explosive that they had the potential to be explosive. So I tried to pick out here and there of watching the coverage a good bit, especially because, Florida and having to play Hanks and Flowers there at corner. Pretty good job of not leaving guys wide open. I'll have to watch a replay on that. But when I would pick out and watch, at least consistent enough to me where the coverage was tight enough, there were not guys running wide open everywhere. I think that's why you saw so many carries by Castellanos. Now, some of those were designed, of course, but some of that I thought the coverage was pretty well for Florida, at least down the field in that aspect. Caleb Banks in his last game, 3 total tackles for him. Cam James, of course, 3 total tackles there for him. I thought he had a tackle for loss, but maybe it was a big play for no gain. Maybe so on that one. So there you go. Look at your stats a little bit. 3rd downs. Florida average distance to go was about 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5.1. Florida with 3rd and long, which is 9+ yards. They were 0 for 3. So that was about the worst part of 3rd down for the Gators. But there we go. There we go. So there's enough for the stat recap of the game. Back at you right here, full screen. Let's see here. Sean Smith, hey, man, thank you really a lot here. Not lost on me. Throwing up a big donation like this. Sean, I know, continued supporter, man. Been in here in the chats. A lot of these post games. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, thank you so much. Last game of the season. We've been through another football season together. This one's been very emotional. and the roller coaster of everything we had coming into this season, all the expectations, myself putting high expectations on this team, only to end up firing the coach in the middle of the season. You guys been here through it all with us, and in the coaching search as well. It's been an emotional roller coaster of a season, but thank you all so much for one more time. And we're out here in the swamp for the last time. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. It means a whole lot. We got to go through another football season together, and it's not lost on me. All the support, all the chats, all that good stuff that we've had. I know it's been rough. It's been rough for all of us, but I do from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much for all the support. Sean Smith says, I'm just going to relish beating the brains out of Florida State tonight. If we keep at least 75% of this roster, there's still hope. My trust in our ability to hire coaches may be 0 out of 10, but even the worst gambler gets it right sometimes. Thanks for all you do, Dave. Hey, thanks, man. And look, I like your viewpoint there. Let's see what happens with the roster. Let's see what happens with the coordinator hires. I get not being excited because it does seem like this is just another hire of what we just went through. I completely get it. I feel a lot like that in my own way, for sure. I completely get it. Like I said, I'm going to support the guy no matter who it is. And if it doesn't work, we'll be here 3 or 4 years again. And I will say once again, it's a hiring problem and not a firing problem. Because once again, if this doesn't work, you can go back and look at it and say, well, why did you go down to the G4, G5 route again? For whatever reason, Florida's got to try and get the young up-and-comer. It's happening again. I hope for different results. I hate, a coach coming in and having to start behind the 8 ball, but for where this fan base has been, a lot of it makes sense. I will say still no. I will take John Summerall over, as Larry says, one John Gruden is still available. No thanks. No thanks. I'll follow that up with Gabe. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Oh, man, my feet are falling asleep. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. I got to sit kind of weird here to put the laptop in my lap. My feet are falling asleep a little bit. Larry Henderson does say, I will agree here, Larry. It is a great year when you beat Florida State. I will say it's a great end of year. Well, not a great year. Still losing to Georgia. Still lost to Tennessee. Still lost to LSU. But I will forget all about that right now. Put myself back in that bubble. Don't take the wins over Florida State for granted. South Florida Don says, thanks for all you do for us Gators. Yep. Thanks, Don. I know you're in the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord too. Everybody in that side of it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Before we continue, guys, you can go have some fun. And all this football is over with. You can have it right there at my bookie. Go play some casino games. Not much college football left to bet on. Got championship week next week. Then we got the playoff and some bowl games. But the regular season coming to a close. But you certainly can get in on the action right there at my bookie. Use our promo code Gators. And that'll take you a long way. Go play some casino games. Bet the rest of college football. Of course, you got the NFL. You can bet all that too. But one account and one wallet. You can bet football all weekend. Then go spend some time. Just go play some slots. You can play slots right there at my bookie. You don't have to switch apps. You don't have to go to another platform. All the action right there at my bookie. Speaking of the NFL, you have the Super Contest. You got the Survivor Pools. You can go bet it all right there at my bookie. It's your one-stop sports book and casino in one. And if you're new to my bookie, use our code Gators, and your first bet up to $500 is fully covered. If you make your play and it doesn't hit, you get it right back with a bet back bonus. No stress, just a one-time rollover on your return bet. so you're free to reload and keep firing. Sign up at mybookie.ag with promo code Gators to claim your bet back bonus. All right, let me get to the comments, guys. Now we'll finish up the episode there. RK Wood says, at least we can watch quality basketball until the spring game. Yeah. Took a loss a couple nights ago. Bounced back yesterday. Lost TCU a couple nights ago. Guard play still questionable. Davian Lee bounces back against Providence. Gators get a win there. It was kind of hard to keep up with everything with family in town, coaching search, football, basketball, and Thanksgiving. It was a lot. There was a lot happening. We'll see. I mean, we all know it's about the guard play right now. And against TCU, man, it was getting out rebounded on the front court. That was not a great look. So we'll see. We'll see about this team coming up. Having to start gelling together pretty soon. Duke Tuesday night though? Going to Cameron Indoor. I think it's Tuesday. Big week for Florida basketball. Right there. And until the spring game, I think I saw you put a comment in there earlier. I have no idea when the spring game would be. It's always around Masters weekend. So that's usually where I put it out. And there we go. Okay, let's see here. Big Blue Horses. UF paid turnkey $5 million to produce a G5 head coaching candidate. Let that sink in. We could have had collectively done that over a 45-minute Gator breakdown show. I don't know if turnkey produced it. That's the aggravating part of this. I think some emotion and got in the way of this, and I think went rogue a little bit. Because you're not telling me John Summerall was behind Lane Kiffin. I know Lane Kiffin was at the top of that one, too. It was the top of the fan board and whatever turnkey popped up. John Summerall was he wasn't that high. Wasn't that high. No way, no how. Chad says, even with all the craziness and uncertainty, still bleed orange and blue. Go Gators. I know. And I'm glad you said that, Chad, because, we get this. I can't find myself doing it. And if you want to call me part of the problem, go right ahead. I don't care. I am going to enjoy Florida football as much as I possibly can. And I know there's this quit buying tickets and quit going to games and all that stuff. Okay, fine. If that's how you want to go about it, that's your prerogative. Do I blame you if that's how you want to voice your displeasure? No, I don't blame you for doing it. Just don't expect everybody else to do it too. This means a lot to a lot of people out there. It's a release. It is getting away from something for 4 months out of the year. I mean, I got guys in Gators Breakdown Plus Discord and going through hard times telling me they enjoy hopping into Discord to get their mind off of things. Jumping into chats to get their mind off of things for hardships that they're going through, family health problems, all that stuff. Granted, that's not the same as coming to games and all that stuff, but yeah, it means a lot to a lot of people out there. And if people want to express still coming to games, are you supporting letting what you don't want to happen keep happening? I guess in some ways you are. But people are going to support. People love this orange and blue. People love this university. People love being amongst 90,000 of their closest friends. A lot of people use this for fun, a release. Is it serious to me? Sure it is. It's also fun to me at the same time. Now, I don't like watching Florida lose week in and week out, but I like coming down here to Gainesville. I like seeing people I don't see other 8 months out of the year, being able to come down here and catch up, a family reunion for 4 months of the year, each and every Saturday. I guess, yes, we can come down here and tailgate and not come to the games, whatever. We're Gators. We're a football school. We love our football. If you don't want to support that way, that's fine. I don't blame you. But don't expect other people to jump on that board either. Or hop on board for that either. As Chad says right here, still bleed orange and blue. Brian Fisher says, can Summerall equal Signetti? Well, it would be different, Brian. Signetti would, great offensive mastermind. Summerall's going to have to hire a great offensive mastermind. He's going to have to. What's up? Door opened by there. I think it was Keith Niebuhr. And shout out to Keith, by the way, too, at On 3. A lot of conversations with him the last few days. Big shout out to him. Just conversations about Florida, coaching search, all that stuff. Stand-up guy. Signetti came from, a bit smaller. Come out of the blue a little bit. Summerall's got at least some cachet to him where a lot of other SEC schools were looking at him. Maybe Kentucky down the road would love for him to return there. Of course, if Florida gets him, pretty much looks like he's stealing them from Auburn. Looks like Ole Miss would be in the mix for him too if there's an opening there. So a little more, I think, known commodity. Because nobody really knew who Signetti was when he made the jump to Indiana. Nobody really did. And he got put on the spotlight last year because of all the success that he was able to produce. To me, a little bit different scenario here. Certainly not Summerall steps into immediate pressure, much more pressure than Signetti ever did. Now there's some expectations at Indiana for what he's done. So now maybe if you're talking about the not sure, making sure my mic's still on, the not just really sure what you're going to get, and the guy ends up being successful. If you mean it at the base level of that, sure. Could he be that? Absolutely. But it's a projection. Projection for sure. Hoping, wishing, all that. Tim, no matter who our coach is next year, at least it won't be Mike Norvell, and FSU will be stuck with him. Go Gator. Man, if you're that fan base, one of your last hopes was beating a rival and then making a bowl game, if that really mattered a whole lot. But some of them were already so much down in the dumps because they know they can't do anything with Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell's coming back next year. And then you had to watch this. And this was, guys, we know how bad this Florida team can look. We know how bad this Florida team has looked throughout many times this year. And you just got beat 40-21 by this team. And an interim head coach at that. For a coach that they extended after a, near playoff run, undefeated regular season, somehow, some way, Jimmy Sexton swindled people to thinking Alabama was about to hire him. That was never happening. Florida State panics, gives him this big old contract. Now they can't get rid of him. They just witnessed what they witnessed right here in the swamp tonight. And now they got to have an offseason of not a lot of belief in their head coach. And they can't do anything about it. You're right. At least we don't have Mike Norvell on the sideline. Sean Smith brings up a good point if you follow NFL a bit, and if a Jaguars fan. Is Strickland Trent Baalke? Well, he's not going anywhere. But to your point of bringing in different head coaches and the limit there, and things just not working out because of the overseer, sir, I think that could be the case. Thanks, everybody right there, for those super chats. Not lost on me, the support. Wolf Gator. Gators breakdown. If it means a lot to fans, then powers that be need to start caring. Scott Strickland, etc., really don't care. They would never care as much as the fans. And I think that's why Steve Spurrier was so special. He was one of us, played here, coached here, endeared himself in so many ways. It's transactional. We chose Florida to be a fan of. They chose Florida for a check. It's not the same. They can come to grow to love Florida, but it's still transactional. It's not. They don't care as much as the fans, and that's why we're fans. I mean, that's not really a shot at those guys either. I mean, fans are fans. That's fanatical. We're fanatical about it. They won't care as much as the fans. That will never be the case. But you should, and maybe going to your point, should care about winning. And with what we've seen and the process, I think it's certainly right to question that. As JB says, today was fun. It was. I did have fun. Last home game of the year. I did have fun today. I did have fun. Yeah, it says today being fun at 4-8 is how far UF has fallen. Maybe so. I can live in a bubble for a little bit. Ultimately, is this where we want to be? No. Is 4-8 fun? No, it's not what anybody's saying. It's just today by itself, it was fun. It's fun to beat a rival. It's fun to beat a rival. Some more comments here. Justin Cord. What's up, Zach? I ain't got much longer. When you guys going live?
Huh?
You going live?
Yeah, I can
okay.
go to another room.
Oh, okay, all right. Zach Alberverdi just walked in. Let's see. Justin Cord, as Summerall, the GM hire is more important in my opinion. GM and offensive coordinator. Yeah, that's the two biggest ones. Now, your GM's not going to be this, in college football, this big name. It's not like Andrew Luck or anything at Stanford. But you got to hire the right guy. You got someone who gets it. Of course, how to build it, roster construction, how much you're going to spend. Like when we talk about wanting to keep Jadan Baugh, okay, how much does that cost? How much does that cost a running back room? How much does that cost in building your roster out? I mean, a lot of the style of offense you want to run, all that comes into play too. So got to be tied at the hip, that coaching GM. Going to be interesting how Florida goes, with that. Is it somebody is it a GM in the style of it's somebody who can stick around no matter the coach, or is it going to be tied to the coach? I don't know. I don't know how Florida's going to do that. RK Wood one more time, 6533. Been watching the Gators since Galen Hall. It can always be worse. Through all kinds of weather, we all stick together. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Got to ride back to Jacksonville. Got a few more minutes here. So, Scott Camp. Scott, I know this not to be true. Lane hasn't made an announcement yet is because Scott is still in Mississippi. No, I saw Scott Strickland here today. He is not in Mississippi. He was in the swamp today. It is interesting. There's been no decision from Lane Kiffin yet. We got the Iron Bowl playing out and some rumors, of course, if Bama was to lose that game, if Bama comes open because they get rid of DeBoer and maybe Bama goes into the mix for Lane. I don't know. I know a lot of people were expecting an answer today. I know there was another meeting at Ole Miss today. I'd be completely shocked if Florida finds their way back in it if that's what some of the conversation in here is about. But, yep, I just saw Gator Swag put it in there. Kiffin is still not decided yet, which could mean UF is trying to get Kiffin. I haven't heard anything, Swag. If that's where you're trying to go, that has not been any talk in the press box today. Anything like that. So, nope, I haven't heard that. So I wouldn't say get your hopes up for that. I mean, if you've heard, I see the comment, you've heard Kiffin and Florida are talking, okay, maybe so. I don't know that. Nobody's said anything to me about it. I think a lot of people want to make themselves maybe feel better about that. And if it comes to fruition, fine. I'm not digging that one. I'm not digging deep into that one after the last couple of days or so. If it happens, I'll find out, or I'll try and find out, and then we'll go from there. Sean Smith, I'll never forget being a kid with my dad in the swamp, comforting LSU fans after we crushed them by around 50 points in the swamp. The Gators will rise again. Jeff, Dave, why is Matt Campbell never consideration? Iowa State was a perennial loser before he arrived. Now they are consistently competitive. That is a name I'm surprised that I'm surprised hasn't got an SEC job somewhere or a bigger Big Ten job somewhere. I don't know why. Only thing I can assume is the interview process doesn't go well for him. I don't know that for sure. But his name does come up some in jobs. Or maybe he just likes it at Iowa State a whole lot. I don't know. Maybe that's known behind the scenes. I know Josh Pate's a big fan of him. And thinks programs should consider him. I would assume he's interviewed for other jobs out there and bigger jobs out there, and I'm pure assumption here. Maybe not a good interviewer. Only thing I can think of, or interviewee. New kid on the block as him. I heard Summerall could win with his dog at OC. Look back to Jim McElwain there. Dan Clark Gator says Ross Dellinger tweeted that Ole Miss AD is trying to talk to John Summerall and Alex Golish. Yeah, maybe getting a little too ahead of the John Summerall thing. We'll see. And like I said, the vibe today in the press box is John Summerall will end up being Florida's next head coach, but coaching searches are weird. We'll see where it goes. Ole Miss wants Summerall. I mean, that is a thought out there. Okay. The best Savage says Summerall can win here. If we are truly the program we think we are, just need to surround the guy with the resources we'd give Lane, just win. I just don't think that'll happen. When I mentioned it in the coaching episode yesterday, this morning, that support just won't be there. Unfortunately, it just won't. That's why I thought getting Kiffin was so important, because there was a lot of buy-in. People waiting for him to be the guy. And with him not being the guy, it just doesn't it just won't be there. Unfortunately. I mean, it's not my money. I can't tell people what to do with their money. People won't return on investment. So right now, without getting a hire with somebody like Lane Kiffin, who could hit the ground running, it's kind of a wait and see approach. There will be support. There will be some dollars thrown. It just won't be as much. But the general sentiment that you see out there about this hire, this type of hire, of course, it's up in the higher echelons of a lot of boosters were not happy with how this played out. Some support no matter what. That's still going to be there. And some are, like I said, going to be wait and see mode. Unfortunately, I said early on in this process, it doesn't matter who it is. You'd like to have everybody on the same page, everybody moving forward. That's not going to be the case here. I don't think it's going to be terrible by any means. Maybe some all can have some private meetings, or whoever it is, have some private meetings with a lot of decision makers and the money makers, and he can get them on board. But the support would not be as much as it would have been if it was Lane Kiffin. Junior, a good point with this too, going back to the game. Enjoying this beatdown of the Noles. I love these players for fighting all the way, better days ahead. Certainly effort was questioned a lot in the last month for this team. Didn't look like they really wanted to go play Kentucky. Didn't look like they wanted to play much against Tennessee last week. Tennessee jumped up fast, and Avalanche was on. That was my worry for this game too, is as explosive as FSU's offense could be, what would happen if Florida found themselves down by a couple scores pretty early? Didn't have to worry about that. That was something I wanted to look up before I forgot, like the drive chart for Florida. Field goal, touchdown, interception, punt. Last 4 drives of the game, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. Only 3 drives that didn't do anything. Interception, punt. They're scored on every other drive. 10 total drives, 7 scoring drives. That's how you win. We finally got a good second half. I mean, guys, here it is. So the third quarter started. It did get a little bit scary. It was 3 and out. And I think that was the back-to-back sacks, if I'm not mistaken. But then after that, the rest of the game, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. 3-play drive, 8-play drive, 9-play drive, 8-play drive. There we go. Finally put a second half together. Make sure the mic's still on. All right. Good stuff. Thanks for the comment, everybody. Thanks for the comments. One more time. 40-21 Gators over Florida State. A little bit of coaching talk tonight here, too. Certainly will be plenty more. We'll see what Sunday holds. If there's any kind of announcement tomorrow for Sunday, I would expect a press conference Monday. We'll see how fast all this comes together. I know Florida wants to put together a hire pretty fast. With signing day being Wednesday, salvage what you can out of it, and we'll go from there. But for Sunday, we'll have our ears open. Dex Max says, I will feel a tiny bit better if I find out that the Summerall hire comes with a short leash, like must have 11 wins by year 2. Ooh, okay. I do think the contract needs to be friendly in that regard, where I don't know, can't have this stupid guaranteed buyout. Cannot get yourself into a contract like that again. Doesn't need to be for a bunch of money per year. Florida does. I mean, we got to get a better contract here. Now, I believe Summerall is not a Jimmy Sexton client, so you can't swindle a Billy Napier type of contract here for John Summerall. You just can't do it. Make it incentive laden. The more you win, the more you get paid. Bonus it up like crazy. 11 wins by year 2, though. That one might be pretty difficult. I don't know if anybody's going to sign up for that. Chad and R about the defense. Defense finally bent, but didn't break. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you look the yardage was going to be there for Florida State when you looked at the stats. It's just Florida kept them out of the end zone, except for 3 times. Is that what happened? Lane said he's not leaving. Did that come out, or is that just a assumption there? I don't know. I can't see Twitter right now, so I'm putting the comment up. You guys will have to confirm it for me if that's the case. But I don't know if that's coming out anywhere. I can switch over for a second and see if that's coming out anywhere. But okay, I don't see anything yet, so we'll see. Now click back over. Sorry, guys, I just had to. I said Lincoln, not Lane. Oh, did you? Maybe that was my fault. Maybe Lane on the mind, huh? Lincoln said he's not leaving. You're right, Sean. There you go. I can't read. I'm tired. It's late. I got to drive back to Jacksonville. So that's my sign right there. I should call it the episode. I should call it the episode right there. Good for pointing that out. I'm glad I come back and read the comment, but you said Lincoln and not Lane. But anyway, I don't care what these guys say publicly. Does it hold some weight? Maybe, but what these guys say publicly does not. I don't take any of that to heart. All right, guys. Animal's asking, how long is it from Gainesville to Jacksonville? It would take me about an hour and a half to get home. Little, I mean, I can make it in about an hour and a half. We'll see. It's nighttime. The deer are crazy. I mean, right outside of Gainesville, man, once you get past the airport, it is nothing but eyes looking at you. So be very, very careful there with the deer, I'll tell you. But it depends. For me, where I'm at in Jacksonville, it's an hour and a half. As I see some people saying, hey, look, I used to live on the west side. It was 45 minutes for me. It was a quick drive. But now where I live at in Jacksonville, it's anywhere from 45 minutes. If you live on the west side of Jacksonville, for me, it's an hour and a half. If you go all the way out to the beaches, hour 45, all that good stuff. So there we go. That'll be about by the time I get out of here, close to midnight when I get home. So that will do it. That will do it, everybody. One more time, thank you. Another season in the books right here for Gators Breakdown. This is, I believe, the 10th season I've covered. When we all get back together for football season next year, it will be 10 years of Gators Breakdown. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. And even got a marker right there for 10% of my battery left on my microphone. So, yeah, another sign I got to go. But crazy, guys. It'll be 10 years of Gators Breakdown next year. So, woo, let's go. Hopefully that means it's much better. It's a new era for the 10th year of Gators Breakdown. We'll see where it goes. But, guys, thank you again. One more time. I can't thank you enough. We're here at the end. I'm going to do it one more time. It means a lot. A lot of work is put into this. A lot of time away from family, from my wife and my daughter, early mornings, late nights, trips to Gainesville, all that stuff. So family time's getting caught back up on. And now it doesn't get in the way. It doesn't. I mean, I still have family time. But, it does weigh. It does weigh on me a bit, especially when you're watching a team like this that we watched this year. It's just like, man, did I really just watch that instead of going and doing this or doing that with family and all that stuff? But, hey, I got all the support in the world at home, too, from my wife and my daughter. That means a lot for me, for them being so open for me to do this, for all you guys out there. For me, too, look, I love talking Gator football. That's how I got started doing this. I love talking Gator football. Got started in the infancy of podcasting. So it's not lost on me how big this thing has gotten, the responsibility that comes with the territory. I love doing it. And as we sign off for another football season, one more time, thank you for letting me be a part of your TV, your radio airwaves, in your car, in your headphones, all that stuff. It means so much to me. So that'll do it for this 2025 season. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. And here we go. We'll get the coaching search, hopefully done pretty soon, and we'll move on forward. But everybody out there, one more time, thank you so much.